Richard gives for the problem is that there is no fiscal space. Fiscal space mainly attributed to you, because they say that the economy was managed so criminally and abysmally to the extent that there is no money in the kitty to satisfy these demands, no matter how legitimate. What's your view, first of all, on the nurses' strike, circumstances that led to the strike, eventual suspension of the strike, and the matters that have come up in respect of fiscal space? Richard, yes.
Good morning. Mm-hmm. Good morning to you, to our nurse friend who is in the studio. I didn't catch his name.
It's Jefferson Asari.
To Hamza, okay, yes, to Jefferson Asari, to my senior brother, Franklin Kujo, who now is firing on all cylinders.
Which you are happy with?
I'm not sure. His thing is all over the place, but I miss him. But you see, Salom, my thing is, first of all, Honorable Comrade Mintah Akandoh, the Minister for Health, must go.
He must
go.
He
should have been gone.
Where?
He must go.
Go where?
Gone. Go home.
Oh.
Go home. Leave the ministry and go home. He must go.
Why? Because of the strike?
Completely unacceptable behavior.
But we've had previous ministers who have also endured strikes.
Wow.
They never
left. Let's hold on. When I finish, you won't ask any of your questions.
Wow.
He must go home. When he was the ranking member on the health committee, did you see the things he was doing and saying? He accused Dr. Ahiagbah for looking on for a strike, a local strike in Kumasi, Komfanoche. Matters to do with administrative professional matters, where the lab technicians, scientists were saying that certain people, I think from the hematological side, being transferred into their domain was not acceptable to them. This is a professional matter. Ahiagbah is an accountant, a local professional matter to do with a hospital. He said that the minister looked on for that to evolve into a strike. What is a minister supposed to do in a professional conversation?
But Richard,
hold on. Sorry, I said you won't ask your questions anymore. 1 minute. The matter to do with the lives of Ghanaians, which matter was brought to his attention in January. He assured the people that it will be factored into the conversation of the budget. That's why I disagree completely and entirely with Hamza. The very nice way is Friday that budget begins a long time and everything, and it is before this government, all that. No. This government has full control of what went into this budget. It's nobody else's budget, theirs. They found fiscal means to put all manner of things, including 2.7 billion for compensation at the Jubilee House. They found all the means to do that. Now, but then they didn't prioritize the health of all Ghanaians. That one was not important to them. And so now we are here today, and the health minister is making all sorts of flimsy suggestions to do with call retired nurses to come and help. Hamza, he didn't say anything else that you're trying to polish. He was clear that retired nurses should come and replace them. That kind of hardball he was playing with people's health was repugnant, for which reason he must be gone. People died. People actually died. People died because of his negligence, because of his lack of seriousness to a problem such as this, a nationwide strike. If you don't have a nurse, the hospital doesn't run the way it ought to run. When I had my accident, the only assurance you had for a second chance was the presence of a nurse, the assurance of a nurse, the attentiveness of a nurse, their presence when there is a shift where the nurses are being swapped I am anxious. Which nurse is coming to me? When is she coming? So this is not matters to joke with. So when you sit in Parliament, comfortably in opposition, throwing things into the pitch as though you can do the job, and now the job is handed to you and you watch for people to die, you must go home. Akandoh must go home. President Mahama must see to that.
I see.
It is that same principle in our further conversation to do with the NCA matter, the president's issuance of clemency. The same principle I'm applying here is what applies when we have that conversation later.
No, by the time we finish this program, at least 2 ministers must go home.
Yes, Akandoh must go.
So let me deal with that. Akandoh must go. Let me deal with this Akandoh must go matter.
Sorry?
Let me deal with this Akandoh must go matter.
Yeah.
He's a health minister, but he's not a finance minister. He's a health minister. He can only appeal to his colleague finance minister to create space for them. If the finance minister, wait. But he doesn't have to come and tell us that he told his colleague finance minister, and if colleague finance minister says he doesn't, he's part of it. He must own it. Besides, there's a labor minister and there's a finance minister. The people to do the negotiation, fair wages and salaries committee, of course, they fall under the Ministry of Finance. So to single him out and say he must go, I think it's a bit misplaced, and it's also not. You can't compare it to the situation which happened in the Ashanti region. Let me finish. You can't compare it to the matter that happened in the Ashanti region because you said this is a professional matter. That purely was a matter of leadership, right? So if in the past he said the minister should go because he looked on for such a matter to degenerate, it was purely a matter of leadership which could have been resolved there, worst case, regional level, national level, and it degenerated. So that's leadership.
We are doing too much. Let me help you here. You are the lawyer. Approbating and reprobating is what you're doing for the minister. He must go. The business of leadership, it was applicable in the case of Ajimamenu and it's applicable to Mintah Akandoh. You cannot distinguish or differentiate between them. He looked on for people to die.
I see.
That's the matter. Now the buck stops with him, not with the finance minister when it comes to the health sector. He must advocate for the people in that sector. He must advocate for the wellness and the progress in the health sector. So that's his primary duty. So if he looked on for the nurses and midwives to go on strike, which I believe is a fundamental lack of interest in the welfare and the continuous service of the nurses and midwives, because they felt that one, they can talk about it, they can use their propaganda to format around it. That's the reason why when he came to the press conference saying that, let the retired nurses come and take over. What an egregious statement to make when you have 120,000 people, or 20,000 or 28,000 more people across the country sitting at home, and you think that the retirees, who, from what I have learned, are in a very dire situation, to come and do what? That tells you of a government that is not serious, a government that's not focused, a leader in the health sector that doesn't have his eye on the ball. The situation that we just went through. God saved us from this. If the nurses had progressed further, which I think justifiably they have a call. They have a demand. They have what is due them being denied them. Okay, though I don't agree for them to stay home because people were dying, but in principle, they had a case. In which case, I think if the negotiation, apart from the fact that the minister looked on for this to come to a head, the negotiation itself was not progressing in a manner that should give confidence to the nurses. Their position was, government was saying they don't have fiscal space, which I don't believe, because just yesterday they introduced the devil levy to collect about 5.7 billion. Is that
which one is the devil levy?
They found it because they needed it to reward in of ECG, which the finance minister said he will not do. He will not do. What happened to making ECG increase its collections? What happened to that? Then suddenly they introduced this devil levy to collect 5.7 billion to reward ECG's inefficiencies, incompetence. They collect that. But people who are working to ensure our lives, I'm saying the Psalm on the amount required to be able to grant these benefits to nurses, estimated somewhere around 2 billion or a little over 2 billion.
2.2 billion.
We have 2.7 billion we have to reward people for compensation. We have 5.7 billion that they are going to collect to reward the inefficiencies of ECG. How about reward the nurses? What is due them for saving people's lives? You tell me where the priority is. So I'm saying that the minister must go simply because he is not on top of his job.
I see.
The same way he was talking about, he must go.
Well,
so
what happened?
The point is,
yes, Richard. What happens to a lot of the concerns they are raising are, things which came from the past. So the talk about medical care or insurance, the talk about book and research allowance, all of these are not new. In fact, he even said in the COVID time, the promises you made to them, you didn't fulfill them. So is it not also reprobating and approbating, as you did mention, for you to take the posture you are taking?
In what sense? In what sense?
Because, for example, some of the things they're asking for were things which were promised them in your time, and they don't have any things they've been mentioning. They said the COVID things we had, and he is even blaming the media for not doing a balanced job because we just hear from government and we think that's the truth. So the COVID thing we said, government said we're going to give them, they didn't even give them, and we think they were giving. And so that, defines our direction or how we approach them. So it's not just a 6-month-old government problem. It's a problem that's been historic. And so
there is no such thing as a 6-month-old government. There's no such. Let's stop saying that.
Government is a continuum.
Okay? Government is a continuum. So there's no such thing as 6-month-old government. There is this government that must take responsibility for the affairs of the state.
I see. Great.
Simple.
I see.
Agreed yesterday and whatnot. But I'm just saying to you that, okay, we are at a crossroads now. Who is in charge of the affairs of the state? What are their responsibilities to the nurses to discharge that agreement, execute that agreement? And the question is, have they executed in a manner that should have prevented the avoidable death in this 13 or so days?
I see.
Okay, they failed. Now, the proposition they are making, I am not, encouraging the nurses to go on strike because life lost cannot be replaced. But you see, the government must be sensitive. The government must be proactive, especially when you have Honorable Mintah Akandoh, who was pontificating when he was in opposition, calling on people and calling them all sorts of names. He ought to be on top of his job, and he hasn't been. Why? People have died, and I think he should go home. And the NDC must stop having this retrogressive conversation about, oh, yesterday the thing was passed, we were just young. Look, what is the issue that we are discussing? As if they don't know about this thing happening? There's a conversation. There was a notice given them in January about this matter. But they chose not to prioritize it, which is why we are here. So it's a matter of negligence. They
say fiscal space.
Fiscal space. I just told you why that question.
Wait.
So unfair to me.
Just all of you should know that your points. Yeah, sure. All of you should know that your points. So conclude for me. Let me speak to Franklin.
So
yes.
I shall conclude. I'm just saying that the matter of fiscal space does not arise.
Very well.
Okay. If a government that is preaching austerity can appropriate 2.7 billion for its own compensation at the Jubilee House, that government is not talking to me about austerity.
Very
okay.
Well.
If government can introduce a devil levy to collect 5.7 billion to compensate the inefficiencies of ECG, that government is not talking austerity. So the matter of fiscal space does not arise.
Very well.
And further, the NDC must stop arguing with the nurses. They must understand that they are there to run the ministry or the health sector so that Ghanaians derive benefits in terms of health, proper health delivery. And if they are in the business of arguing and trying to blame the nurses for demanding what they are due in law or in agreement, I think that they are losing the plot.
Very well.
Right now, the minister should go home. And if he's
Very
not going, the president must make him go.
Great.
Because he is watched for people to die.
Great.